Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. My name is Scott. If you're looking for reviews of different whiskeys such as bourbons, ryes, American style whiskeys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also make sure to hit the bell notification. That will alert you to when I'm doing new uploads or live streams. So today from Michter's Distillery, we've got their Michter's Straight Rye Whiskey. This is a single barrel. This specifically was bottled 19-I1616. Just, in the event that you're looking for that particular bottle or in general. So now again, with it being a single barrel, there can be sometimes some subtle differences, but my experience with this is that it's really very consistent or as consistent as it can be regarding a single barrel. So with that being said, so this proof-wise came in at 84.8 proof or 42.4% ABV. Mash bill is undisclosed, but more than likely is a mash bill starting with a 51% rye whiskey and then the remaining 49% probably standard or typical grains. It is non-age stated, and MSRP on this one is right around that maybe $38 to $45 price point. So a good price point for you'll see a really solid rye whiskey. So what I try to do with most or all of my reviews is we'll go through the appearance, we'll nose it, taste it, get into really anything else having to do with the whiskey itself. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll kind of get into the review. So as you can see, this is a really nice kind of copper color to it. Fairly dark for the most part, either resulting from heavier char and or a little bit of age is typically, why that's the case. So, all right, let's, and then two other things I really like to do is move the whiskey around in the glass, again, for two reasons. Not only does it help to open up the whiskey a little bit, introduce a little bit of air, oxygen to it, but it lets you start to see maybe how oily the whiskey is gonna be. And this one, as I move it around, is actually fairly oily for something that's, only, almost 85 proof. It actually has some really nice oils to it. So that's a good sign. You want to see that with most whiskeys, is that kind of will help introduce those oil factors to it, and that translates into it being hopefully a little bit more mouth coating. So, all right, let's get into the nose here. Oh boy. So like right away for me, this has been consistent with a lot of the Michter stuff lately, is that it just got this richness to it like right away. For me on this specifically, and again, with it being a rye whiskey, you get hit with that rye right away, but more than that, you're kind of getting those really nice rich caramel notes. Some of that vanilla is definitely present. Maybe more of like a medium rye spice. It's not like overly rye. You might get something like that's a heavier rye will be something along the lines of like a Wild Turkey 101. That's something, I did a review of that not too long ago, so I can link that above here. But it's a heavier rye spice. This is more bourbon-esque so far on the nose. Again, those really nice rich caramels that are there, that oak is there. Nice spice to it, but not overly spicy by any means. Some dark fruits, that kind of that richness that's there. A little bit of the corn starts to come out, like a sweet corn starts to kind of come out a little bit. And then got a little bit of a toffee note. There's that richness. The toffee can be very rich sometimes. But yeah, really, really nice nose. But for me, very like kind of caramel forward so far with this. All right, let's give this a try. Cheers. Boy, so right away, still very sweet, but it's more of a punch of that spice that's there. You wouldn't think that from the nose just because it's not overly spicy or oak heavy. but that spice really kind of just kicks you there. So, don't let that low proof, again, fool you. Sometimes that and or the lower rye mash bills, you start to kind of, think that it's not going to be overly rye or spicy, but it can really kind of catch up to you. And this one definitely does that. More of a punch of spice right there on the front and mid palate that's there. Followed quickly by, again, a lot of those rich caramels, that vanilla's there. Still some more oak, a little more oak on the palate than there was on the nose that I was picking up. Begins to dry out ever so slightly there. And maybe even towards the back or the end, you start to pick up a little bit more of like a soft white pepper. It's not overly dominant like a black pepper can be. This is a little bit more of a softer spice, but it's a little bit more of that peppery type of note. Again, those nice rich caramels are there. Nice spice that's there. It's a well-balanced rye whiskey. A little bit of honey right there in the end. But again, very approachable. It's a great sipping rye whiskey. For me, I don't know if there's enough there that would make it a cocktail rye whiskey. I just don't know if there's enough proof that's there, and there's not as much of a spice. It probably would do much better like in an old fashioned than it would be a Manhattan, where that tends to be a little bit more spicy. But as far as going back, I mean, this one I really would treat as a sipping style of rye whiskey. It's very, very good, very approachable. I think as a daily sipping rye whiskey, it's one that I try to now keep around the house as much as possible. Can be sometimes a little bit difficult to find, I've heard from people, but overall it seems to be fairly readily available. So with that being said, again, I would give this a recommendation of a buy. I think it's worth that $38 to maybe $45 price point for a nice daily sipping rye whiskey. So, with that being said, yeah, go ahead and pick it up. Give this one a try. If you'd like to help support or contribute to the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. Also like to do a quick shout out to a couple of new patrons, Karen B. Ford and Jeff Winbush. Thank you so much for all of your support. And again, if you'd like to help support or contribute to the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. So also, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can. Same thing through Twitter, Facebook. You can follow me on all those social media platforms. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my